Duda, President Herzog, President Steinmeier, Mayor Kolsky, Marion Tursky. Marion, we've known each other for 43 years. When I first joined you, you were the head of the Jewish Historical Institute. He kept all the records of the Jewish people alive, and he single-handedly made sure that nothing was lost or was given to the Historical Institute against a great deal of pressure from the Communist Party. I do not represent a country like the other presidents here today. Instead, I represent 8 million Jewish people, roughly in 100 countries throughout the diaspora. But no matter where we live, this place, the Warsaw Ghetto, and this event, the Uprising, that happened 80 years ago, will always be part of the Jewish people worldwide. For me, this is very personal. I am filled with memories. I first came here in the 1970s, more than 50 years ago. Part of the ghetto, still laying rooms. I stood here, right over there, where the soldiers are, on the corner. It was night. There was a full moon. I saw large open spaces. There was no Polish museum. There were no trees. It was just empty fields. It snowed that night. And that night, there was a full moon. And in the shadows, you could see the outline of some of the streets there. And you could see where the ghetto once was. What I did not realize, I only found out later, was there, in the intersection of Genscher and Samahofer streets, that revolt began. And that is why this monument is here. April 19, 1943, was the first night of Passover. It was agreed among the Jewish people that that would be the night they fought back. Passover is obviously a time for Jews everywhere who are supposed to sit down and tell the story of Moses leading the Jewish people out of the slavery of Egypt. This small band of Jews stood up and said, we're going to fight for our freedom against the modern day slavery and evil world that surrounds us. Even though it was silent that night, in my mind, I could hear the screams, machine guns, the explosions, and then silence. I stood there for an hour. The next morning, I went to Miller 18, or Miwa 18, the headquarters of the Jewish resistance. I stood there thinking about the leaders of the uprising, taking their own lives rather than dying at the hands of the Germans. It reminded me of the Jewish fighters 2,000 years ago who took their own lives in the Masada rather than die in the hands of the Romans. Ever since then, whenever I've come back to Warsaw, I come to Mill 18 to say Kaddish, the Jewish memorial prayer for those brave men and women, all who have died. I remember that on the 60th anniversary, I met one of the survivors, Merrick Ailey, who spoke to me about his experiences in the Warsaw Ghetto. And he also told me, and made me promise, that I would do everything I can to help the Jewish people. I was an assimilated Jew at that time from New York. But after my conversation with him, I promised him, I kept my promise, to work for the Jewish people. Hearing from him was something that frankly changed my life. Recently, a camera was found nearby here. And when they developed the film, they realized that the camera had taken pictures, had pictures of the Warsaw Ghetto. And one of the pictures, you see a group of Jewish people being led out of the ghetto under the guns of the stormtroopers. This picture was taken from a window above, and you could see in this picture a young girl, she couldn't have been more than 4 or 5 years old, with a beautiful little black coat and a hat, white hat. She was walking, holding her mother and father's hands. And I looked at the picture. We know something. They didn't know that. In the next 48 hours, they would all be dead. That picture says a lot about what happened. It says a lot about the tragedy. The 1.5 million children who died. I'd like to talk about something else at the same time as today. 1 year later, in 1944, there's another struggle for Warsaw. In 1944, the Polish underground was told to rise up against the Germans in a coordinated battle, aided by the Red Army. But the Soviets double-crossed them. They held back. 16,000 Polish fighters were killed, but 200,000 civilians were murdered in mass executions. President Duda, all of us must focus what brings us here today. Our shared history, our shared courage, our shared friendship, and our common goals. We always must remember that all Poles fought the Nazis here. Polish Jews in the Warsaw Ghetto, and 1 year later, falling captives in 1944. Polish Warsaw Uprising. Everyone here must use these brave young men and women as inspiration when we find and we face the kind of hatred that we are seeing today throughout the world. Hatred of anti-Semitism, hatred against people, all types of people. Let us draw strength from them, let us draw courage. And let us always remember their courage in their face of hatred, and to fight back with everything you have, whatever the means. May God bless their memory, and may God bless all of you. Thank you.
Szanowni Państwo, o zabranie głosu proszę prezydenta miasta stołecznego.